Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us this afternoon. We're very, very excited for this webinar. It's probably going to be our biggest one that we've ever had. So thank you very much for registering. Thank you for joining. And especially, I think the sun's starting to come out now. So thank you for spending your Wednesday sunny lunchtime with us this afternoon. But it's going to be good. Well, I think it's going to be good. Anyways, I hope it's going to be good because we've got Dan and Rebecca from ScoreApp this afternoon. So I would imagine a lot of you in the audience know Dan. So big, huge thank you to Dan for joining us this afternoon. And of course, thank you to Rebecca from ScoreApp as well. So today, obviously, we're going to be looking at how financial planners can generate more leads. Dan is, I think everybody, like I said, in the audience, he's been talking about this for years and years and years. And he's got some really, really good ideas, which he'll go through this afternoon. And we'll be looking at that scorecard element of things as well, which is something that some people in the audience will have heard of before, or some people perhaps might not have heard of yet. So we're going to go through some ideas from Dan, and then we've got a list of questions at the end. But if you do want to ask any questions, we'll try and fit them in. If not, unfortunately, we don't have that much time today. So if you do want to ask any questions, you can stick them in the Q&A. Dan, do you want to just say hello to everybody before we get started? And I'll just go through some
forward to it.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, fantastic.
Fantastic. Okay, so just a bit of housekeeping. This will be recorded, so we'll be sending it out afterwards. So don't feel the need to take tons of notes because it'll be going out afterwards. And we do have some follow-ups for you afterwards as well. So make sure to look out for those. But other than that, you're not here to see me. You're here to see the other Dan, or the main Dan. So I'll hand over to Dan Priestley. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. So I'm really thrilled to be here. Thanks very much for inviting me to the conference. I've got a long background working with financial planners. Actually, one of my first clients when I was 21 years old, launching my first business was a financial planning business. And one of the cool stories was that I rewrote their advertising campaign that they used to run in the newspaper, and we got massive uplift. We got 5 to 10 times more people who were connecting with us through those ads just by really just changing the headline and changing a little bit about what we said. So I've got a long background working with financial planners. I've probably had something to do with financial planners every year for the last 20 years. So I really enjoy the space and enjoy talking to planners as a business model. We're going to talk today about scorecard marketing. We'll talk about how to create scorecards for financial planners. They really work wonders. They're an amazing lead generation tool. We'll talk about a little bit about marketing philosophy and some ways to ramp up your marketing, get more leads. And then we'll open up for questions. We should be about half an hour of questions at the end. So we should have plenty of time to get through questions. As you would all know, the business landscape's massively changing over the last 5 years since the pandemic. Businesses have gone digital. Customers can potentially be remote. So there's been these big changes that have happened. If we think about some of the main changes that would have occurred in the financial planning space, up until fairly recently, financial planners, the majority of their customers were geographically close. They were local customers, people who probably lived within a 5 to 10 mile radius of where you have your office. And they, had an expectation that they would physically meet up with you on a regular basis. They'd come in for meetings. They'd probably have an initial meeting or, sit around a boardroom table with you. And there would be a physical, in the same room relationship with a financial planner that would then turn into perhaps talking over the phone and email. But, there was this kind of geographical closeness that people expected right up until 2020. As it turns out today, the most successful planners are people who have a digital footprint. They've got videos online, they've got podcast episodes, they've got digital ways to interact, such as scorecards, and they define themselves a little bit differently. So rather than defining the financial planning business by geography and saying, hey, look, I'm in this particular location, financial planners will often define themselves by what we call IP and ICP. So IP is intellectual property, which is that you've got a unique story, you've got a unique understanding of the world. And ICP is your ideal customer persona. So your ideal customer persona is the type of customer that you tend to look after as your flagship customer. So you see some successful financial planning businesses that specialize in dentists or in airline pilots. You see some financial planners who specialize in sharing certain parts of their story, sharing their intellectual property, their uniqueness through intellectual property. So if we think about what is the missing ingredient that financial planners are missing if they're struggling? It's normally a combination of things. It's the intellectual property, it's the ideal customer persona, and it's the digital footprint. It's the ability to connect with people online. So ultimately, we need to get those things in place. We need to get clarity around your ideal customer, clarity around your intellectual property, and also make sure that you're really improving your digital footprint. If you were thinking about a financial planner from 20 years ago, they would have put an enormous amount of money into their offices, into having a nice boardroom, into having perhaps even a store frontage. I've seen financial planners that have that frontage. So a lot of financial planners would have been spending £5,000 to £10,000 a month, or $5,000 to $10,000 a month, just in physical offices and physical footprint. And yet, many financial planners today, they don't have that overhead, but they're not reallocating that spend towards digital footprint. They're not putting $5,000 to $10,000 a month into videos, into digital assets, into creating content. All of those sorts of things are missing, and yet that's how people are going to discover you these days. So today, what we'll do is we'll talk broadly, but I really do want to give you this specific strategy around scorecards, and we're going to start with scorecard marketing. Because people absolutely adore taking scorecards. It's a really good strategy for financial planners. So let's get into talking about scorecards to begin with, and then we'll broaden out from there. So all of what I'm going to talk about in this first part relates to a platform called ScoreApp.com. ScoreApp is a platform that allows financial planners to easily set up an online assessment so that customers can fill in a needs analysis. And they can do that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In fact, we've got a bunch of ready-to-go templates where you just change the logo. You can change photos, you can change the fonts or the words, but it's pretty much ready to go. And they're very much financial planning focused. So discover your financial freedom score, answer 22 questions, and receive a financial health check. This one is the Financial Freedom mini course. So you opt in and you get a 3-part video series. Obviously you would produce that. The budget personality quiz. There are 3 budgeting profile types. Which one are you? Right, so people can find out which budgeting personality type they are. The tax saving scorecard. Right, so you can get in there and do that one. Is it time for you to put your money to work properly? Right, where should you put your money to work? And can you retire confidently? So all of these scorecard campaigns, they're templates, but they're based upon a very simple formula. And the formula is that there's a landing page to hook people's attention. There is data capture where people answer a series of questions. And then there is a dynamic results page that tells people their score. So it's pretty simple. They see the landing page and they go, yeah, that's good. They fill in the questions, they get a score straight away. And people just really love these. So imagine this one. Can you retire confidently? And it asks you a series of questions, right? Go through yes or no. You click your way through. There's some sliding scale questions. There's some multiple choice questions. And then at the end, it says, okay, here's your score. And it even tells you, here's where you were strong and here's where you were weak. And it sends you an email. And then behind the scenes, you get all the data. So you get a dashboard that tells you how each customer filled in the scorecards. And you also get a dashboard that tells you how all of your customers are filling in the scorecards if you want to. And this is a really powerful part of your lead generation. So consider this, that most financial planning sales are lost not due to your pricing, but most of the sales are lost because trust and compatibility are the key drivers. So the reason people sign up with a financial planner is because they feel a sense of trust and they feel a sense of compatibility. And it's then that they consider price. But if they don't feel trust and compatibility, they're not particularly worried about price or interested in price. Price is only a consideration once trust is built, once compatibility is established. So the reason that I think a lot of financial planners fail is because they promote themselves as financial planners. I have a philosophy, which is for businesses such as financial planning, don't promote what you do, promote the assessment for what you do. So don't run around saying, I'm a financial planner, I can be your financial planner. Run around saying, I have created a financial planning assessment or a finance assessment. I really think you'd get value from doing the free assessment. And essentially, if you can promote the free assessment, you end up with the financial planning work because the assessment moves people that one step closer to you. It's very similar to what's called the clinical method. The clinical method is how doctors operate. So imagine you walk into a doctor's appointment and the doctor says, hey, I think what we should do is put your arm in a plaster cast. And you say to yourself, well, why would I put my arm in a plaster cast? And the doctor says, well, that's what I get paid to do. And you'd never want to see that doctor again because they're just promoting the thing that they get paid to do. Instead, if you said to the doctor, I've got a sore arm, and they said, let's do an x-ray, let's do an assessment, and then we'll have a look at the assessment and we'll start the process of seeing what you need, you'd feel a greater sense of trust. So the clinical method is based upon this idea of symptoms, causes, and treatments. So it's figuring out what are the symptoms you're experiencing, what are causing those symptoms to occur, and what would be the way that we could improve the situation? What would be the treatment plan? So that's why, because of that clinical method, that's why we see doctors always promoting an assessment before they make any recommendation. They're going to always say, hey, let's do your blood pressure. Let's do a blood test. Let's do a X-ray. Let's do an MRI. So they're going for assessment first, and then they sell based on the assessment. So the financial planners that I see doing the best are the ones that promote assessments first, and then they do the assessment. So first you correct, and then they do the recommendations. First correctly diagnosed, then offer treatment, right? So super powerful. The other side to this is that the financial planners that are the most successful that I know, they follow what we call LAPs, leads, appointments, presentations, and sales. And they get into a rhythm of lead generation that results in appointments being booked, that results in presentations being delivered, that results in sales signing up. And by tracking and measuring laps, you essentially end up with a fast growth business. So laps, a nice rhythm of laps. So that means that everything in your business is downstream from lead generation. Essentially, the lead generation is the first mover. If your business had 50 leads a week coming in, you would have a very easy time picking 2 or 3 clients that were your favorites and signing them up as clients. But if you don't have a lot of leads coming in, you tend to take whatever you can get. You take on bad clients. You take on clients that you aren't sure whether they're going to be the right types of people that build your business. But if you're not spoilt for choice when it comes for leads, your business suffers. So everything is downstream of lead generation. It's a really powerful thing to keep in mind. So what is lead generation? Lead generation is getting people to signal their interest. It's a signal of interest. So filling in a form is lead generation. Registering for an event is lead generation. When a customer fills in a scorecard, that's lead generation. If someone emails you, that's lead generation. If someone goes onto your LinkedIn and sends you a direct message on LinkedIn, or they comment on your post, that's actually leads, because any signal of interest where someone is signaling, hey, I know who you are and I'm interested to know more from you, that is lead generation. So what we want is we want to ramp up the number of people who know who you are and signal that they're interested in what you do. It's probably the hardest part about business. Lead generation is not typically easy. I would say most of the money in any industry goes to people who know how to generate leads. It's very rare that the most money goes to the people who are the best at what they do. Most money goes to the best at marketing what they do, best at getting leads for what they do. So lead generation is hard. Growth requires exponentially more leads. In the early days, you can probably sign up 2 clients from 10 leads because they come from warm sources like networking. But as your business grows, you probably sign up a client for every 50 leads that you generate online. So growth requires exponentially more leads. As you grow, conversions tend to drop from 10% to 2%. People have short memories. They're easily distracted. They forget that you exist. People expect a personal touch, but they don't want to talk to anyone until the very end. This is the problem with digital environments now. People want to feel personal with you, even though they don't want to actually talk to you. So what that means is that we have to get good at each of these steps. We have to get good at lead generation, appointment setting, presentations, and sales. So the good news is that when it comes to scorecards, people love taking scorecards because they love learning something about themselves. And it's not teenagers who like scorecards. It's CEOs, it's executives, it's investors, it's retirees. All sorts of people love taking a good, sensible scorecard. Now, I know this firsthand because we blew up one of my businesses with scorecards. We launched the Key Person of Influence scorecard, which was a measurement of personal brand. And it ended up getting 90,000 people to fill in all the questions. We collected an enormous amount of data, and it resulted in like 20 million worth of additional sales. And people basically filled in the question, they got their report on their personal brand. As a result, they booked themselves into a sales call, and then they spoke to one of my sales team. Now, when my sales guys were talking to people, they would have a dashboard in front of them, knowing exactly how people answered the questions. And it meant that they could have a very, very quick conversation that got straight to the point. So a conversation might be something like, hey, Chris, you took the Key Person of Influence scorecard yesterday. Your high score was for partnerships. Your low score was for pitching. And I'm wondering, are you interested in improving those scores? And the conversation went pretty well from there. And this is the same with financial planning. When someone fills in an online scorecard, your conversation is, hey, John, hey, Sarah, I saw that you filled in the scorecard. I saw that you were strong for this, a little bit weak on that. Can we have a conversation to improve your scores, to improve your performance? And the answer is always yes. So it's really nice. It gives you that personal touch. Scorecards, they're great because they're available 24/7. Customers want to do stuff at 3 o'clock in the morning these days. The conversion rates are 5 to 10% the standard websites. We get 42% conversions on ours versus 4% on other campaigns, and terrible conversions on standard websites. Standard websites, if people hit your front end of your website, they've got like a 2 to 4% chance of doing anything. If people hit a scorecard, there's a 40% chance they'll do something. It collects all the relevant data, delivers a personal touch, builds a lot of trust and compatibility. So let's have a look at some underlying reasons as to why it works. Underlying reasons of why it works. Now, this, by the way, is the essence of presentations, right? Leads, appointments, presentations, and sales. Presentations, or people buy to resolve tension. I would love for you to write that down. People buy to resolve tension. People buy financial planning to resolve financial tension that they feel. People feel a sense of lack of clarity, so they buy financial planning to get clarity. People feel out of control. They buy financial planning to get back in control. People feel that they're missing out on opportunities. They buy financial planning to get access to opportunities. People feel that they are undisciplined, so they buy financial planning to restore discipline to their finances. So essentially, the only reason people buy something is to resolve tension. Your job as a planner is to understand what is the tension that this person is trying to resolve. Now, here's an example. When someone goes on an airplane, they're actually not buying a seat on an airplane. They're buying a destination that they want to get to. So the way it works is that someone feels that their current reality is not ideal. They feel that a desired reality would be much better. And then they feel overwhelmed by all the obstacles that are in their way, all the things they have to do in order to get there. So they have a mental model that we call the situation model, which is their current situation or their current reality, their desired situation or desired reality, and the obstacles that get in their way, the obstacles and criteria. So I want you to imagine that every single time you're dealing with a customer, inside the customer's head, whether they know that or not, there is the current reality, the desired reality, and the obstacles that are in their way. And that your job as a financial planner is to discover those three things. Your job is to figure out those three things. And actually, your job is to shine a spotlight on those three things, because when you shine a spotlight on those three things, it creates heightened tension in your potential customer. They feel the sense of tension. So for example, if you're a financial planner and you're asking questions about people's current reality and they don't know the answers, that creates tension. If you say, how many pension funds do you have from your previous employers? And they say, I'm not quite sure. How much is in your pension account? I don't know. Do you have any money tucked away in strange places? Oh, actually, there are a accounts that I set up, and I've got a crypto wallet somewhere, and I've got a share trading account that I set up a few years ago, right? So it creates tension. If you ask people, what is your current net worth, right? It creates tension. If you say, when you hit 65, what do you want your net worth to be? Creates tension. If you say, what would a perfect, if I could wave a magic wand and I could deliver you an amazing result 3 years from now, what would be your result that you wish you could achieve 3 years from now? That creates a desired reality, which creates tension. If you ask the question, what have been the biggest barriers for you previously when it comes to building financial wealth? That's obstacles and criteria. It creates tension. If you were to say, what have you tried that didn't work out the way you thought it would try, the way you thought it would work? That is an obstacle or a criteria that creates tension. So as a financial planner, the more you understand current reality, desired reality, and obstacles and criteria, the more you create tension. And tension is why people buy. The worst thing in the world that you can do is offer solutions too soon. If you offer solutions too soon, you'll be met with distrust, right? There'll be the best case scenario is there's no tension. The worst case scenario is they don't trust you. So tension also creates trust, because the fact that you understand their situation means that they can trust you. Every time that people answer questions on these quizzes, they're giving you information that relates to their current situation, their desired situation, and their outcome. The fact that they even get a score tells them that they're not 100% of where they want to be, and that creates tension. So scorecards are perfect for highlighting tension, which is how they move the result from 2 to 4% to 20 to 40%, because of the amount of tension. The next principle is that people have dormant desires that are sitting beneath the surface. There are the things that people will talk to you about up front, and then there are the real things that sit underneath the ocean where they like to keep it. One thing that we've discovered about humans is that they will tell robots more than they'll tell other humans. So if you're answering a scorecard, if you're answering an online assessment and it says, what color underwear are you wearing? You'll just click the button, pink, right? If someone asked you that in real life, you'll go, oh, I'm not going to discuss that, right? Extreme example, but people tell robots more stuff than they tell people. So scorecards are really good at surfacing the underlying issues. Now, if you want to know a really big example as to why financial planning businesses can explode, why they can go big fast, it's the ability to tap into dormant frustrations that people have rather than explicit things that they're talking about. The best financial planners know how to go deep. They know how to go into the frustration. They know how to go beneath the surface. So I told you at the beginning that I actually transformed a financial planning business 20-something years ago. The way that I did that was by going to dormant needs versus active needs or active conversations. And I'll tell you exactly how we did it. There was a ad that this company ran in the newspaper, and they ran an ad that said, we're the most awarded financial planning firm in Brisbane. And they basically listed off all of their awards, and they listed off how long they've been in business. They listed off the types of special financial planning relationships that they've previously been able to have. And it was basically all about them. So it said, here's, we are the most awarded financial planning business in Brisbane, and here's all the special things about us. And that was their quarter-page ad. When I rewrote the ad, the headline that I wrote was feeling frustrated watching your investments move sideways, ? And it had a little picture of it said feeling crabby watching your investments move sideways, had a little picture of a crab holding a $100 note in Australia, $100 Australian note. And the opening line said, isn't it frustrating when you open up your financial statements and you feel like you're not making any gains and you feel like you're falling behind financially? Isn't it frustrating when you feel like your finances are a mess and you don't know what's really going on? And then I said, you can do something about this. The power is in your hands to talk to a financial planner. We are the most awarded financial planner in Brisbane, right? So then I went into who we are. So I basically added this bit called a frustration headline. And the frustration headline takes people beneath the surface. It taps into underlying annoyances and frustrations. So the only people who used to respond to "We are the best financial planner in Brisbane" are people looking for a financial planner right this month. But the people who started to respond to my ad was anybody who felt the sense of frustration under the surface. So one of the ways that you can explode a financial planning business is stop talking about above the line who we are and what we do. Start talking below the line dormant frustrations, dormant needs, because there's 100 times more people who are frustrated than there are people who are actually looking for a solution. So you want to be able to have a campaign that talks to the dormant. Once you have the dormant frustrations, once you have the tension of the current reality, desired reality, and obstacles, it puts you in the perfect position to present a path of least resistance. Now, what is it that people are buying when they buy a financial planner? I can tell you straight up, they do not want a financial planner. People do not buy financial planning because they want a financial planner. They don't want a new friend. They don't want to have new meetings in their diary. If they could wave a magic wand and be completely assured that they'll have an affluent future and a comfortable retirement, most people are happy to wave a magic wand. What people want is what's called a path of least resistance. They want certainty around the path of least resistance. What you're selling when you are a financial planner is you're selling yourself and your team as the path of least resistance towards them getting what they want. You're basically saying this. You're saying, here's your current reality. Here's your desired reality. Your best chance of getting what you want without hitting any of these obstacles is to sign up as one of my clients. There's nothing better you could do. There is no path of least resistance that is better for you based on your circumstances than what I can offer you. So they don't necessarily want the relationship. They don't want your expertise. They don't want your advice. They don't want meetings in their diary. They don't want your friendship. They don't necessarily want you to remember their dog's name. They want a path of least resistance from their current reality to their desired reality without hitting this set of obstacles. To the degree that they believe that you are the path of least resistance and you offer the most certainty and security is to the degree that they'll sign up. If they sit there and say, actually, I secretly think that I could get the same from ChatGPT, then they won't sign up. If they secretly think, actually, I think I can get the same from Nutmeg, then they won't sign up, right? So you've got to present yourself as the path of least resistance that is better than other paths of least resistance. Okay, so once you've got this, you got to remember that as soon as people fill in a scorecard, they've entered into a game. Once people fill in an assessment, they've entered into a game, whether they know it or not. People love to measure and score and improve things, and it immediately creates a game. I've got little kids. I've got a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, and a 10-year-old. And just by putting a wall chart with a height chart on the wall creates a game. And kids love it. They want to measure how tall they are, and they want to measure how tall they are in a month and how tall they are in 3 months. When you put a chart on the wall that has gold stars for doing chores, you create a game. Suddenly there's a game to play, and people play the game differently just by there being measurements. So by creating measurement tools, you immediately create a game for your customers to play. They know that they measured here last time. They want to get to here next time, right? So they want to achieve more milestones. Now, what you're actually doing when you do this is you're starting to weave together the two ingredients that people need in order for them to stay engaged and stay happy customers. They need the ingredients of logic and emotion. Logic and emotion is basically, the logic is that they can see the numbers and the milestones getting improved, and the emotion is the gamification, the stories that they get to talk about, the stories they get to tell their friends. So we're weaving together those two elements. So anytime that you tell people what we're going to measure, you tell them where they are now on that measurement and where they could be in the future in that measurement. That's the simple thing for creating a game. People love to engage with games. Scorecards give people a way to do this. Okay, final point that I want to talk about for financial planners is that you are a manufacturing business. You are there to manufacture. What do you manufacture? The success of your business is about manufacturing demand for what you do. 100 years ago, Henry Ford mastered the art of manufacturing supply. He created a conveyor belt for the supply of something. As it turns out today, the supply side is actually quite easy for most industries. The very difficult thing is the demand side. So obviously there's demand and supply. Most businesses can get their head around how they're going to look after customers when customers arrive and when customers have paid. Where most businesses, especially planners, struggle is manufacturing a never-ending 24/7 pipeline of demand. Your business really relies upon this 24-hour, 24/7 demand manufacturing. The way that you're going to do this is through digital assets. People are going to see you on YouTube. They're going to read your LinkedIn. They're going to take a scorecard. They're going to book an appointment. They're going to talk to you. They're going to buy. People are going to read your blog. They're going to get your book recommendation. They're going to listen to your podcast episode. They're going to take your scorecard. They're going to book a time to talk to you. They're going to talk to you. They're going to buy. They're going to go through a series of digital assets that keep leading to them towards the same triggers. So what you want to do is have, what you want to do is have a wide group of things that people can do online. They can connect with you on LinkedIn. They can connect with you on YouTube. They can listen to a podcast. And those things all point towards a couple of action steps. The best action steps are take the scorecard, join me for a mini workshop, book a one-to-one call. Take the scorecard, join me for a mini workshop, book a one-to-one call. The financial planners that are seriously crushing it are the ones that have a regular mini workshop. They have one-to-ones ready to go in their diary that you can book straight into, and they have online scorecards, online assessments, and you can do any of those three. You can book an assessment, go to a workshop, do a one-to-one. Book an assessment, book a one-to-one, attend a workshop, sign up as a customer. Book a one-to-one, get a assessment, go to a workshop, come through as a customer. So you want to have a layer of things where people discover you, and then all roads lead back to Rome. And Rome is your mini workshop that happens a couple of times a month, your one-to-ones that are in your diary, and your online assessments that people can take at any time of day live. Okay, I've covered quite a few things there. What has been the best idea that you've got so far? What's one insight that you've got? Let me know in the chat what's been a good insight that you've had so far. Let's have a look at the chat. Let's have a look at some insight.
Sorry, Dan. I was just going to say that's fantastic. Yeah, we've had a few people giving you nice messages, which has been nice to have. I think so we've got a few there. I don't know if you want to go through them, Dan. Can you see the chat on your side there?
Yeah, let's have a look at something. Yeah, I can see those. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Clients buy to ease tension. Yep. Lead with frustration marketing. Fantastic. I love that you've gotten that one. Don't promote what you do, promote the assessment for what you do. That's golden right there. Financial planners need to manufacture demand. They're manufacturers of demand. People don't want financial planners. They want a path of least resistance. Never offer solutions too soon. They won't trust you. Allow tension to build before you offer the right solution. Become more of a doctor. Great way of thinking about it. The scorecards are interesting as a marketing tool, but also as a way to gain insights into a prospect's needs and desires. I'd love to unpack the mini workshop. We can do that towards the question time. Tension sits in the gap between expectations and reality. That's it. That's a really great insight, Paul. Okay, nice one. Are you getting value from this? Are you getting new ideas? Let's have a quick look. Don't fix the problem straight away. Great. Okay, let's actually get into tactical, practical before we then broaden out to questions. So I want to talk about how we do it, right? So really simply, remember the blueprint, the landing page, the questionnaire, the dynamic response. That's what we need to do. Let me show you how to do this. It's really, really easy. So you're going to get yourself a free ScoreApp trial account as part of today, where you can actually test this and trial this. And then if you decide to use ScoreApp, you'll get a discounted account as part of Next Gen Planners. But let's just take you in. This is what it looks like in ScoreApp at the back end. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go create new scorecard. I'm going to go pick a template. and I'm just going to click finance, and it's just going to bring up all the finance related templates that are there. Anything that kind of relates to a financial planning one. Find the hidden savings. Now, mind you, you're going to have to edit these because it's going to be your name on this. But ultimately, these are totally directionally correct. I really like this one. Can you retire confidently? I like this guy's beanie. I think his beard is really cool. And he's got a great wife there, you can tell, right? I think that's a cool one. Anyway, you've got a really nice one here. It's a ready to go template. There's a tax related one. Obviously, you need to make sure that's up to date. So any of those. So all you're going to do is you're going to pick a template that you like, and then you're going to select it. It's going to pop up here, and then you go click on it. And when you click on it, it's going to show you basically how you can build the landing page. So you can actually click on what's called build, and then you can go landing page, questions, results page, PDFs if you want to do PDFs, but you don't have to do that. But let's just go landing page. So landing page, what I want to do is I want to make that landing page as good as possible. So I can say, can you retire confidently? Find out if you're financially set for what could be one of the most fulfilling chapters of your life. Retirement should be a great time. I might just add here a little bit. I'm just going to add our team have over 15 years experience and have won 13 awards. Right? So I'm just going to, like, whatever I want to do, I can just put it in here, just like editing any document. It's pretty simple. We're not it's not rocket science. You can just go through and edit that stuff. Oh, there we go. I'm just going to highlight that and just go, yeah, I'll make that bold. There we go. Looks nice. Okay, complementary strategy call. I'm just going to drop the photos of what our past clients. I'm going to put some photos with some permission from past client 1, 2, and 3. So I'll put some ones in there. I'm comfortable personally with video. I'm going to add a video. So I'm just going to add in a video there. All I'll have to do is put my link to my video there. But I'm just going to say a message from our principal. Message from our principal. 7 reasons to get urgent clarity about your finances. All right, so I'm going to create a video there. I'm also going to, I want to have a nice bio of myself and my team picture. Let's put that there. And I'll say, our team great. All right, boom, boom, boom. So I can do that. I can mix those up. I can rearrange those if I want to rearrange them. I can delete them if I want to delete them. Right, so super simple. I've now created some changes to my landing page. All I have to do here is update on the settings. I can change my logo. So I can just drop my logo in there and it's going to change it everywhere. I can also change my main colors and say, actually, I want to have more of a light pink color there or dark pink, or I might want to go this blue color. I want to make that a lighter blue, right? So I save that and it's going to change my main colors on my thing. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is go questions. So I'm just going to go through and edit the questions one at a time. Over the years, have you separated your wages, salary into dedicated accounts, i.e. bills, savings, investments? Do you have credit card debt? Do you have, let's make it long-term credit card debt? Have you got loans for personal items, for example, a vehicle? Have you actively invested a portion of your income throughout the years that you worked? Right, so I can add all of those. I'm going to add some questions. I want to add a question which is a qualifying question. So I'm just going to put in a qualifying question here, which is, do you feel you would benefit from a financial planning relationship where we talk every 90 days about your financial situation, right? And we might go yes, no, and I might just add in maybe, right? So boom. So I've just added a qualifying question here. Maybe I want to add another qualifying question. I might add a question here. Do you have assets above 500K? Right, so we can put that in there, right? So we could, right? That might be a bit cheeky for this one, but I can put any questions I want in there. It's going to automatically create the scoring logic there. Okay, so I can save that. And then I can go to my results page. And I go, okay, let's have a look at the results page here. And I go, cool, here's what it's going to say. I can edit all of that text there. Once again, I love video, so I'm going to record a video for people. So I'm just going to go in here in video, and I'm going to say, here's a video. Actually, this particular video, I want to be a special video. I want this to be audience-based video. So I only want this to be for creating a new audience. I want this to be for people who said that they have assets of over 500,000. So do you have assets above 500,000? Answer is yes. I'm going to call this above 500K. So that video here will only appear if people say above 500K, if they have ticked yes for that. Now, what I do want to do is I want to have a different offer for people who have less than 500K. So I'm going to go to call to action. If they've got less than 500K, I'm going to send them a ticket to an event. And I'll go join our free webinar, getting started with financial stability, right? And I'm going to put this as an audience-based offer for people who have less than 500K. So do you have assets above 500K? Answer is no. So I'm going to say sub 500. So the people who have less than 500 grand, they're going to see this, which is a ticket to an event. The people who have more than 500 grand are going to get a video where it's a personal invitation to come along to a one-to-one with me. And I'm going to personally invite them using that video. So I've now got those in place. I also want to give people different ways of visualizing their results. So I'm going to say, let's have a look at the ways. I'm going to give people a traffic light system. So on top of that, they're going to get a traffic light, and I'm going to give them some diagrams here as to how they go. Right, so we can have a look at display options. Where are we? Show the overall score. Fantastic. And dynamic content. We'll enable it. So we can change the content for not ready. We can change the content for getting there. We can change the content for you're ready. And now we've got different content that goes out based on how they go on the traffic light. So, okay, we've got our landing page. We can now say, yeah, we're ready to launch. So all I do is I take it out of draft mode, I publish it, it goes live, and then as soon as someone clicks this link, they're going to see my landing page. They're going to take the test. So Danny testing, test at testing.com. They take the test. We'll go yes, no, yes, 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 no, no, yes, 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 no, yeah, yeah, yeah. Boom. Maybe, do you have assets above 500K? Let's go with no. Okay, so it now says, boom, I scored a 38%, so I'm not ready. This is where I'm strongest. This is where I'm weakest. And I get the ticket, but I don't get to see the video. Oh, wait a sec. There's my video. Why is that there? Okay, I've got to go back and check that out. So I'm lucky I tested it. Obviously, I didn't activate that properly with that video. It shouldn't have appeared because it's less than 500K. So anyway, I bet that I put less than instead of more than. So I probably had both of them as less than. Anyway, I can double check it now that I've gone through and checked. I've got myself a scorecard, and when I check my leads, there's my first lead that's come in. Because I'm not logged in as this particular account, I can't see the actual lead, but I can see the results. I can see the answers for each question. Right, so I've got a nice dashboard of what those leads looked like. Okay, so there you go. Pretty simple to set that up. I can then promote it on social media. I can get a dashboard of how many people are interacting. I've got a setup guide for how to update my landing pages and how to use it. I've got a QR code ready to go. So it's all ready to go now that I've got that set up. It only took about, what, 5, 6, 7 minutes? And away we go. So let me know if that was clear, right? Was that clear in the demo just there? Should have been nice and clear how to set up one of those. Rebecca is going to share a link with you so that you can actually get yourself set up with an account. Also, I am going to, if you want, on my slides, I've got a QR code. So all you have to do is scan that QR code, and you'll actually get you'll get this special account. Now, NextGen have kindly passed on a discount to everyone who goes through this code. Most people get a commission. NextGen said no commission. We just want to pass on the discount, which is really great. So you've got a really good access to an amazing offer there if you come through NextGen. So if you want to, you've got the link in the chat, or you can QR code that, and you've got a special link. You can start with a free account, and then when you upgrade to a paid account, you've got when you upgrade to a paid account, you've got the discount applied. If you've already signed up to ScoreApp and you didn't use that, you can just drop our help team a message that says you're part of NextGen Planners, and we will move you across manually behind the scenes to the NextGen offer. So just let us know on the help desk, and we'll make sure that you're on the NextGen offer. Okay, so that's a little bit of a demo on Scorecards. Bit of a game changer. Dan, what do you think? Should we do some questions from here?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, we've got tons of questions in the Q&A. Rebecca's been doing a fantastic job of answering them, so thank you, Rebecca. And she's also on it with the links as well, putting them in the chat. So the links for that discount have just been provided in the chat there for you, but we'll also send out in a follow-up for people afterwards as well. But yeah, Dan, we've got some good questions. I think the one kind of takeaway that I've got from this as well, and thing that I perhaps wanted to add on to it, is because I love scorecards. We build them for people all the time, and you know, they're amazing lead generation tools, is the hyper personalization that you can do. So I was actually building one yesterday with a client, and he's actually put it in there. He's actually put that we're building this in the chat there, and he works with dentists. And specifically, the talk he's giving tonight is targeted towards people who've just left university, and it's about checking their money as soon as they leave university. Super duper personalized. You know, it took us about an hour to build, and it's really, really, really powerful tool that is designed specifically for those guys. So something just to point out as well on top of this, if you want to take it to the next level, is think about your target audience really, really, really closely, and think, what do they want to this from the scorecard as well.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, great point. Really great point.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so we've got quite a few questions that people sent through, and we've also got loads in the Q&A as well. I want to squeeze as much as we can out of you, Dan, so apologies, I'm going to throw loads of questions
let's
out.
Go for it.
So I think one of my favorite ones that we got kind of beforehand was actually from Dom, and we were talking about this a bit before we started, Dan, as well, wasn't it? About this idea of nowadays of a lead generation specialist in financial planning businesses and businesses, broadly as well. Do you think that would, I mean, some people in the audience perhaps have never even heard of a lead generation specialist before. Can you just give us an idea of maybe what one of those is, and do you think they're going to be valuable for financial planning businesses?
Yeah, so when you put yourself out there online, you will always get people who promote to you, I can help you with your lead generation, I can help you with your YouTube videos, I can help you with this, I can help you with that. And depending on the stage of your business is how many of those you should be saying yes to. So, if you've got a business that is $500,000 to $1 million of fee revenue, then it probably makes sense to have someone who is an overseas affordable video editor who can do your video editing, and they might charge you, £9 an hour, and you just send them the raw footage and they create the YouTube channel for you, and you invest a few hundred a month into having someone who supports your YouTube channel. If you're $1 million to $5 million, you might have someone more locally who can actually come out and film you. You might pay $2 or $3 grand a month for a filming team to turn up and actually do a monthly video production day, and then they do the editing and build it for you. So it fits within the context of your business. Lead generation can take many forms. You could have someone whose job is to do cold outreach, and they reach out to people. That's being replaced by AI agents. So some people can build you AI agents that do that. You can also have situations where someone is posting lots of content on your behalf, those sorts of things. Now, all of that is great if you've got some revenues to speak of. But if you're at a very early stage, unfortunately, you're going to have to work to make sure that you do a lot of this stuff yourself. The benefit of doing it yourself is that you will never have anyone pull the wool over your eyes as to how hard it is that they're able to do something. It's very powerful to be able to say, hey, I've edited 15-minute videos like that myself. It doesn't take that long. I know how to, let me show you what I did in 15, 20 minutes. Let me show you what I did in half an hour. It means that you've got your head around your own business. Now, one of the things, it's very similar to a financial planner. If you have 20 grand worth of assets, it probably doesn't make sense to spend $5 grand on financial planning, because the financial planner's only got 20 grand worth of total assets to work with. It's going to be very hard to get a return on that. If you've got 2 million worth of assets, it's probably not spending enough on financial planning to spend $5 grand. You want to spend more money on more financial planning. So ultimately, lead generation for your business, as your business is growing, you're spending a proportion to get an increased return.
Yeah. No, I think that's really good way to look at it. That return on investment side of things is incredibly important. Yeah. I realized, by the way, that these questions I'm going to be asking you, Dan, are not necessarily related to scorecards, but more related to the kind of overall lead generation thing. But this is what
totally,
people were asking beforehand. Another great one that we got is because you kind of touched on there, and this is perhaps a nice segue into this question, is the idea of somebody just starting out, is launching their financial planning business or launching themselves as a financial planner, versus somebody who's been going for 20, 30 years. Apart from that, keeping costs down, what do you think is like the different lead generation strategy that you'd have between those perhaps two? I mean, I know there's loads of audiences in between, but what differs between those two, do you think?
Yeah, so launching a new financial planning business, you're going to, at the very basic level, you're going to be posting some content every day on LinkedIn, or your dominant platform, whatever your dominant platform is. Maybe it's Instagram, maybe it's X, maybe it's YouTube. But you're going to follow up with every person. Everyone who likes your post, you're going to reach out and send them a direct message and invite them to have a one-to-one, take the scorecard, do a mini workshop. Everyone who comments, you're going to reach out privately and say, hey, thanks for the comment. I'd love it if we can have a one-to-one. I'd love it if we can have I'd love it if you join me on a mini workshop. I'd love it if you take my scorecard. So you're going to do a lot more follow-up because every lead counts with that. As a business that's been in business for 20 years, you're going to do a lot more filtering. You're going to try and make it harder for people
Yeah.
to get through to you, because what you want to do is, let's say you've got a momentum where 100 people a week in some way get through to you. You want to have systems that automatically filter out half of them, where you immediately know that they're not the right people, and you're only talking to the 50% who actually meet the first hurdle,
Yeah.
so that you're not wasting your team's time. Um, you want to filter people out, not in. As an early stage financial planner, you don't have a lot of overheads, so you can afford to be really focused on going after some anchor clients, some really great clients that you can reach out to them. You can say, hey, I noticed that you posted on LinkedIn. I loved your post. I'm a financial planner. I'd love to be able to pick up the conversation with you. So you're going to kind of go after those targeted opportunities that could be game changers for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that. I think another question that we've had, which is, I mean, by far probably the most popular one, and I think I can see some people asking it, the latest question in the chat there as well, is I've got a feeling I know your answer to this, but it's people asking which, maybe not social channel, but which online channel should they be, yeah, should they be on, but also should they be putting most of their time into, do you think?
So the rule is that people get to know you through 7 hours, 11 touch points, and 4 platforms. So at the very least, you want to be set up on 4 platforms. So
Mhm.
you want to have, at the very least, some YouTube videos that introduce yourself and who you are,
Yeah.
so that people can find you on YouTube if possible. You want to have your LinkedIn profile. You want to have your Instagram. You want to be able to point people back to the main places that they can find you. You want to have your website. You want to have your scorecard. Um, and what you want to do is, you want to be set up on at least 4 places. But then you, especially at an earlier stage, you want to really be active on one dominant platform. So the 2 platforms that I think are the best for financial planners is LinkedIn. And the reason for LinkedIn is that only 1% of people post on LinkedIn weekly. So if you post more than once a week, you're in the top 1% of content creators. Most people on LinkedIn have jobs, and therefore they're too afraid to post. They're worried about their boss seeing what they post, and they're worried about being embarrassed about what they post. So LinkedIn has lots of people visually looking at the posts, but not a lot of people posting. So therefore, every time you post, you get a boost. The other one is Instagram. Instagram is full of wealthy people who want to show off how great their lifestyle is. And there's lots of consumer products on Instagram, but there's very few genuinely active financial planners and people who actually are very active on Instagram who are talking about financial planning related topics. Instagram does give you access directly to very affluent people. You can see exactly what their lifestyle is like. You can reach out and send them a DM, say, it looks like you're spending a ton of money on flights. Are you spending that much money on your investments? You seem to fly business class and first class a lot. Are your investments first class? Are you business class? Are you getting business class investments? Are you getting great advice on that? People love that stuff, right? You can send a DM. When they check out your Instagram, they can see the videos you've put up, they can see your posts, they can see that you're sharing charts and information and data. And you can build really, really well on there. And then I think it's really, really, really powerful to be a guest on podcasts.
Mm.
So if you can be a guest on 3 podcasts, and those podcasts can be linked in your profile, where you go on there and you talk about money psychology, you talk about what stops people from accumulating wealth.
Yeah.
Those, just a couple of those podcasts really elevate you.
Yeah. I think, yeah, that's such a crucial point. It's interesting as well that you didn't actually say I'm sorry, I've got a ping going on here. You didn't actually say TikTok in there. I don't know whether that's purposeful or whether it's just because you just don't think it deserves
Yeah,
to be
look,
in the same conversation as
full
those two.
disclosure, full disclosure, I hate TikTok, and I find that it's the same content on LinkedIn will get a very positive response when I talk about things like success and affluence and doing well. And then on TikTok, the exact same content will get people who are very like anti-wealth, anti-success,
Yeah.
you know, complainy, whingy types. You get lots of really young people with no money on TikTok. They've got lots of time on their hands to complain, no money to throw at problems. Ultimately, you're going to build your business on the back of people who are good clients. They got money to throw at problems and they want to succeed. Obviously, there are exceptions to the rule. And TikTok will change over time. So you can play the long game that, 23-year-olds are eventually 33-year-olds.
Yeah.
And annoying shithead 23-year-olds are eventually quite wise 35-year-olds 12 years from now. So you can play the game that's a long game. But at the moment, TikTok is young. It's very left-leaning. It's very aggressive and annoying and complaining. So, if that's your jam, that's where you'll find them.
It kind of reminds me a bit of what Instagram was 10 years ago. So you're right.
Yeah.
It's like a young platform, which yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the first time.
The only
Sorry, go on.
difference with Instagram is it was very hard to disappear off the platform with Instagram. TikTok, it's so rapid fire, it's so high velocity that you can have a viral video on Monday with 1 million views, and by Friday, no one knows who you are.
Yeah, it's less predictable, isn't it? Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We've actually got a lovely question in the Q&A, which I really love. They didn't leave the name; it's anonymous, which makes me normally think they're going to ask something weird, but actually, this is a great question. So I'll read the whole thing. So Daniel, many financial planners on this call are also solo practitioners who take pride in serving clients in their own way. Bearing in mind the typical resources and limitations of a one-person business, what do you see as one key opportunity and one key threat facing us over the next 12 to 24 months? And then he also, I assume they're gender that. They also said, and how do you see these evolving over the next 5 years? And then thank you. So that's a great question. Thank you for whoever that was.
So the biggest opportunity is being a podcast guest. That's a huge opportunity. As one person, you can go on to a podcast that gets 10,000 views, and now you're in front of 10,000 people. If you're good at being a podcast guest, doing that once a week would be pretty transformational. You'll eventually end up as a bigger and bigger podcast guest. And you'll essentially 78% of people who start listening to a podcast listen to at least 30 minutes of it. So you're getting real contact time with, it's not a 15-second video, it's a 30-minute investment that people make.
Yeah.
So being a podcast guest, podcasts have a long tail. If you do one really good episode, you could promote it to everyone you know for the next 6 months, 12 months. Yeah. There are 600,000 active podcasts and they're all looking for guests. Obviously, don't go looking for the biggest podcasts because those guys are filtering guests.
Yeah.
So if you go to the top 1,000 podcasts, you're going to have a hard time getting on. But if you go to the middle 200,000 podcasts, there's going to be no shortage of people looking for an interesting guest who has a topic to discuss. So that would be one of the biggest opportunities. One of the biggest threats to every industry, the big threat is AI. You're either using it or you're losing to it. So the financial planners who are going to be the best in the next 5 years are financial planners who are using AI to do a lot of heavy lifting in their business. The financial planners who ignore AI are going to have to hire 3 or 4 people to do what one agent is doing. And so there's going to be a financial planner in the next 12 months that puts 40 agents into their business that each go and do things every day for free. And there's going to be a financial planner who gets 40 people to do those things. One financial planner will be wildly profitable and the other one will be breaking even or losing money. And it really comes down to, are you using AI agents or are you using people to solve problems? Are you just ignoring it? So the biggest opportunity and threat is your ability to use media, like video, your ability to use AI, like agents, um, and your threat is not doing those things.
That's yeah. Uh, I agree. I think so. Before I move on to the other questions, I think just perhaps a tag on to that is how if somebody is in that position of where they've got basically that crossroads of do I hire 40 people or do I hire 40 agents? What would be your advice to those guys in terms of where to start with that question? What do they
Start by
do?
start by breaking things. Start with play. So play means what if I could get an agent to go on LinkedIn and do a quick response to everyone in my DMs? What if I could get an agent to start the day by drafting 3 or 4 tweets that I could tweet on LinkedIn, on Insta, on X? So what if you go onto ChatGPT and ask it, what could a financial planner do with an agent, an AI agent?
Mm.
Walk me through the steps for setting that up. Um, uh, having playful chats with AI to ask it the question, how could I be better using AI to run a financial planning business? So you just start with play and start with being okay with making silly mistakes or doing things that don't immediately seem wildly valuable, but
Yeah,
just you're learning the skill of using this stuff.
it's good. It's like AI inception, isn't it? It's like AI asking AI about AI. It always freaks me out doing that. Um, you mentioned video there. You mentioned video before.
Yeah.
Do you think that that then is the most important piece of content that, or not piece of content, sorry, form of content that people should be focusing on now, or is it others that you think are also useful?
Well, the truth is that financial planners used to go along to physical meetings and go to
Yeah,
networking events and all that sort of stuff. All of that's kind of been replaced by video. If I put out one good piece of video, a few thousand people might see that. It would take me a long time to go and have a 10-minute conversation with a few thousand people.
yeah.
It's going to be very difficult to replicate that. So, like for me personally, 2 days ago, I was on a podcast. It was an AI discussion on Diary of a CEO. It's less than 48 hours old. It's been seen by 1.1 million people.
Mhm.
My inbox is flooded with opportunities. Our biggest issue is that I have to try and keep up with all the inbound opportunities that are coming in. Do you want to speak in Dubai? Do you want to go on to another podcast? Do you want to come and do a leadership retreat with our senior team? How much would it be to get you as a coach, an advisor? So, like, just literally, though, all those opportunities come in, and they come in every hour, several opportunities an hour. So, one video recorded one time that hits a home run, that will be months worth of opportunities
Yeah,
that come in from there.
yeah. And I think as well, I mean, I've seen this in the last few days of our clients that we're working with. Um, I, that we've started posting videos recently on LinkedIn, for example. I've never seen one of his posts come on my LinkedIn feed ever. Yesterday, we posted the first video from his account, and he came up straight away first on my feed, which anecdotally and empirically tells me that these channels, LinkedIn, whatever it is, they're all leaning towards certain types of video. There's a certain type, I think, but it's definitely all leaning towards that
Well,
type.
all of the platforms, including LinkedIn, they all want to be multimodal. They want to be text, they want to be video, they want to be images and carousels.
Yeah,
Um, they want people to, LinkedIn used to be a place to just put your CV. LinkedIn is now the home of professional networking. It's jumped past CV sharing and it's gone into professional networking. So they want to be a video platform, as much as all the other platforms do.
yeah,
But guess
definitely.
what? People are so scared of video that if you're willing to do video, you get so much viral reach because people on Instagram love putting videos out. TikTok, obviously, everyone's drowning in video that they put out. LinkedIn, 99% of people on LinkedIn, they wet their pants at the thought of putting a video out.
It's interesting as well, Dan, isn't it, that you said there that only 1% of people on LinkedIn actually post. I wonder what percentage of that 1% are posting videos. I would say it's probably 1% of that 1%.
Tiny percentage, tiny
Which,
percentage. Look, someone
yeah,
just asked, what sort of videos should you do?
yeah,
You would literally, after this workshop, you would say, you'd pull out your phone and you'd say, I just went on an interesting workshop where we were talking about the changing nature of networking, how we used to meet people through networking and now we meet people through video on social media. It's a really interesting dynamic. The thing that we're noticing is that people who put some video out on their LinkedIn profile get more engagement. So I'm putting out some video, and I would encourage you to do the same. By the way, if we haven't met before, my name's Daniel. I'm a financial planner, and I do this, this, and this.
yeah. Yeah, it's. I think that's sorry, we perhaps got off topic here, but that's a good point. Is that community element as well? I think people have forgotten that these platforms were originally created to create community, and
Yeah,
they still are in effect.
they
And that's the
still
thing.
talk about that all the time. The senior level, that's what they want.
Yeah, and that's you can create that actually much easier than you can create any other types of traction on that is by creating that community, asking people what they think, getting involved in conversations. We
Yeah.
always see that flying, and that's where the best people are doing nowadays as well. So yeah. Um, we have got a bit of a longer question here, but it's actually tied to one of your books, Dan. So I thought I might ask this one, give you a chance to plug it. So given where you see the world heading with the rise of AI, personal brands, and scalable digital products, do you still think it makes sense to become a key person of influence within a regulated profession like financial planning? Or is the smarter move to step away and go all in on building a brand that sells courses, content, and ideas at scale? It's a really good question.
Dan, you would know more about this than me,
Yeah.
but under the regulations, is there something that stops you, that prevents you from having courses and different offerings that are adjacent to your financial planning business? Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
Let's say that I was a financial planner and I was regulated, but also I was really good at facilitating family retreats where a wealthy family goes away on a holiday and we come up with our family code, we come up with our family values. We actually have a vision for the future, and I facilitate that as a workshop. It's a 3-hour workshop that can be done on a family retreat. Is there any regulation that would prevent me from doing that?
Mm.
What would you say?
I mean, this is the thing is I'm not a compliance consultant, so but I get your point, and I don't think there is. I think the people get a lot of confusion over what the regulation is actually. So it's called financial promotions basically, and that's the
Because
key thing.
my understanding of financial promotions is that it's really trying to stop people from promoting financial products.
You're right.
So
You're
like
right.
if I'm on LinkedIn and I'm saying, I am a financial planner. I've just had a look at Facebook and its numbers, and I think you should buy Facebook shares right now.
Yeah.
That's obviously a financial promotion. I'm promoting some sort of financial product.
Yeah.
But if I go on LinkedIn and I say, over the last 10 years as a financial planner, I've spoken to people about their biggest insecurities around money. And I've found that there are 3 big mindsets that stop you from accumulating wealth. One is called the scarcity mindset, where you prioritize penny pinching over growth.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is the short-term mindset. And the other mindset is the chop and change mindset, right? And I'm just talking about that. I don't think there's anything financial promoting about that. That's just talking about your experience.
Yeah.
If I were to say, I've put together a mini course about how to create a vision for your future retirement. And it's a mini course. It's 3 videos, 15 minutes each. And they're designed for you to be able to mentally start processing what would it be like to retire? What do you want that to look like? and I take you through a bit of an activity that helps you to get a visual. Now, the first thing I need you to know, this is not independent financial advice and shouldn't replace independent financial advice. And I'm not promoting any particular product.
Yeah. I mean, that's literally, as you were saying that, somebody actually put in the comments there, financial promotions covers not only what you are promoting, but also wealth warnings the client should be aware of. And you've just basically given one there, which is saying effectively, this is not advice. It's just,
There
it's
you
just
go.
my experience in that kind of thing. Yeah. So, is the answer to the question, it was Carl who asked the question, by the way, is the answer
Yep.
to the question, it doesn't need to be mutually exclusive. You
I
can
think you can do both.
do both.
I
Yeah.
think you can be the principal of a financial planning company, but you could also be an amazing professional speaker. You could have a best-selling book. You could be
Yeah.
an incredible podcast host. You could do all of those things. In fact, I'll give you a real life example. There's a woman called Susan who runs in Australia a business called Seeds of Advice. She specializes in working with rural families that own farms.
Mm.
And her big USP is creating an alignment between three generations. So the grandparents, the grandparents, the kids, and the grandkids. And what she does is she does family farm retreats where she gets the three generations to sit together. She facilitates what the family farm means to each generation.
Mhm.
She surfaces tension in the family and she resolves tension. And she gets paid, I think, something like 8,000 per workshop to do the facilitation. It's not a traditional financial planning product. It's a workshop facilitation product, but obviously it leads to huge financial planning client relationships.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't pigeonhole her into traditional financial planning.
Yeah. No, that's a really it's good. I mean, there's that is and it's taking us away, and this is perhaps more of a point for the profession rather than yourself, Dan. Is it takes us away from the years of where it was a more product focused. We used to call it an industry, whereas now the financial planning profession is what's really being is what's really taking off now,
Yeah.
and that distinction there is really clear. Then I think.
I'll give you another example, which is I know a financial planner who really specializes in helping and guiding clients towards better career decisions.
Hmm.
So, for example, they leverage the data around changing jobs every 2 to 3 years. That there is data that says if you're willing to change jobs every 2 to 3 years, you earn more money over the course of your career. Um, Part of the financial planning is career planning and talking about how you're going to ask for a promotion, negotiating it, role playing through with these clients, how to role play asking for a promotion. So
Yeah.
there are best practices around asking for more money from your employer. Now, if I had a financial planner, if I was working in a job and I had a financial planner who was role playing how to ask for a pay rise, and that resulted in an extra 6 grand a year, and on top of that, I'm getting all the other financial planning advice as well.
Yeah.
You've got to in the world of AI, you've got to broaden your view as to what a financial planner is.
Yeah.
The traditional let's be brutally honest. I'm probably not meant to be saying this, but let's be brutally honest. I'm just going to say it. If I go onto ChatGPT and ask the current O3 model to act as a financial planner or a paraplanner or act as a wealth manager from JP Morgan,
Yeah.
ask me a series of questions and draft me up a financial plan, it's going to do a pretty reasonable job. It's not going to do it's not going to be the best top 10%, but
No.
it's also not going to be the bottom. It's not going to be the worst thing. I'm going to get some sort of a financial plan out of the thing. And there are going to be people who scoff at that and say, "Oh, well, that's terrible." Okay, but if that's all you do, that you are in competition with that as a free service. However, if you're acting as my financial coach and you're talking about how to structure my thinking, how to overcome my limiting beliefs, how to ask for more money as an employer, how to come up as an entrepreneur, maybe I've got barriers to charging more money, charging what I'm fully worth. Maybe I've got imposter syndrome around, getting out of my shell and putting myself out there. All of those things, a financial planner, if they really rethought their role in my life, all of those things are totally, totally things that a financial planner could help me with.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Because I think what a lot of people would say in response to what you said about ChatGPT, for example, is of course the ChatGPT can't be there when you're trying to phone them at, whatever it is, saying the markets have dropped and all that kind of, this is the thing is taking the difference between that. Well, it probably can actually, but it's the difference between that and the coaching element, which, yeah, I think I definitely agree with.
Yeah.
I'm very aware of your time and everybody's time. So just one final question that I think it's quite a few people have asked it in the audience is related to ScoreApp. Actually, we've started with scorecards and we'll finish with scorecards.
Nice.
Is if they, let's say for example, it's a firm with multiple advisors, so they've got maybe 2, 3, 4 financial planners or whatever. And you mentioned the videos early on and putting these into scorecards. How do you manage that? Like what would we do in that case in terms of getting those different people in front of their right?
Yeah, you can actually just set up in any account, you can actually have multiple scorecards.
Yes.
If I had 4 planners, there's a button that says clone. I would clone 4 scorecards so that each of my planners had a scorecard to use. And I would definitely have potentially an advanced move might be that based on how they answer questions, it recommends which planner would be most suitable. So
Yeah.
you might ask a question, which best describes your current situation? Young professional, approaching retirement, entrepreneur. And then if I click the button entrepreneur, it actually says, it pops up at the end, because you clicked entrepreneur, you should talk to our planner, Dan, who specializes in entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and you could do that in the questions as well, couldn't you? So you could do, for example, logic based, which is if I answer that question, then brings up another question which has a video in, which then
it
does that.
logic jumps straight to the entrepreneur questions. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question. Whoever was asking that, I think a few people asked that, actually. Cool. Well, I think we have got way more than what we bargained for today, Dan. Is there anything that you want to finish off with? Is there anything that you want to leave us with?
Yeah, look, I'll leave you with this thought. It's never been a worse time to be boring and average. For the last 80 years, you could be boring and average and get pretty good results. The world was pretty kind to boring average people. And there was actually a pretty decent middle boring average life that was available to anyone. As we've all seen, that's shrinking. But at the same time, there's never been higher rewards for being a standout person in your industry. If you're brilliant, if you're great at what you do, if you lean in, if you put yourself out there, if you pitch well, if you create videos, if you engage people online, if you appear as a guest on a podcast, if you've got some scorecards, there's never been a bigger potential for you to really make money and for really achieve huge success. We're already seeing examples every single year where a new financial planner pops into the stratosphere. So there are certain financial planners who end up as mini celebrity financial planners, or they become the go-to within their industry, and they end up building 10 20 million businesses. So there's never been more upside potential. So what we're seeing is a diminishment of the value of being average and a massive increase in the value of being in the top 10%. So take that into consideration. Really lean in, commit yourself to being one of the standout people in the industry, and you won't just be fine, you'll be flying. Because that's what's happening at the moment.
Yeah, love it. Really good. Thank you very much, Dan. That was awesome. I will just say a big thank you, of course, as well to Susie from your team and to Rebecca from your team for putting this together. Can we have a big thank you in the comments for Dan and the team there for joining us today and for doing everything they've done for us. We really do appreciate it. After today, what we'll do is we will send you through a follow-up. So we'll have the recording. Look at all them messages coming through. It's nice. Strokes the ego a little bit, doesn't it? Which is good.
Well, someone said, well done staying patient with Gary Stevenson.
I thought there might be a few of those comments today.
I've got three kids under 10, so I'm quite used to people throwing tantrums in front of me.
I was trying to avoid saying that word today, but I knew someone would bring it up. Yeah, so we'll send out the recording today. We'll also send our own scorecard this week. So we've got our own scorecard that we want you guys to take. It's based on how you can scale your financial planning business. So you'll receive that later this week. And we'll also send through some more useful information. We will put a link to that ScoreApp link that Rebecca's kindly put in the chat for us there as well. And if you do have any questions, then you can just reply to our follow-ups. If you have any questions for us and the team, then we're always here to help as well. But yeah, thank you again, everybody, for joining us this afternoon on this warm, sunny afternoon in May. Thank you to Dan and the team for joining us. And yeah, we'll see you all very soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.